Janina, we speak today about business agility, company as a family of business models. Very interesting topic, I think. Hello, Janina.
Hi, very nice meeting you. Hello, everyone who is listening for us today and enjoying your time instead of work in this beautiful sunny Thursday.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for time. Yeah, I think you can start and share your screen.
So here I am. Yeah, I think I should start, right?
Yes.
So I would probably just follow up Anton, since we've been working a lot together. Anton was explaining how going out from really massive and complex big solutions such as large-scale frameworks, we need to move into business agility. But so far, from what I've met, people don't actually understand what is business agility. Like, how do I implement it? Where is the framework? Where can I read more about the rules about how to do this, and so on and so forth. And this is where we come to an understanding that we lack of good, reliable information about this. In other words, there are many opinions, like back then, before the Agile was formed, we have a lot of opinions, we have a lot of cases, but still it's quite hard for a new person, even like a Scrum Master, to understand what is a business agility in very quickly words. So in very quickly words, business agility is lifting your whole business, your whole organization into the agile way of thinking, living, and working. And it's not only about process, it's a lot about culture. But other than this, what we look at, our single origin, our single body is not team anymore, or even like a portfolio or a product. This is a whole organization. This is a whole business model we look at. And if we look at the business model, it should be quite easy, right? And because you cannot like play with 100 business models at the same time on one framework. So business agility is defining your value streams, defining your different business models or products, and having them as a family or as a portfolio in your organization. So let me bring some understanding. How do we assess, how do we understand the maturity of our organization, and where is this whole business agility come from? What should we do? How do we need to work with people, budgets, processes, and so on? That's the question that everyone asks. So a quick introduction of myself, similar slide like Anton had. I've been in IT industry for over 10 years, for 15 years, and for over 10 years, those are the managerial positions and decision-making positions. And for the last 5 years, I've been involved in consulting of different companies worldwide. And for the past couple of years, mostly here in Europe and European Union. Some materials that I'm going to use today are brought by Jürgen Apolo. You probably all heard about him because he's the inventor of Management 3.0, like very popular concept. So Shift Up is his latest book and his latest work. It was released less than a year ago, and it is already awarded by many different ratings as top 10 business books of the whole time, top 50 business agility books of all time, top book of last year, and so on. So I would like to use some of his approaches because he managed to explain this really simple. And also, of course, we don't need a theory or a book, we can read it ourselves. So here I would bring the 15 years of my experience. So here's me with Jürgen and with Agile Lab team. let me begin. So what happens with the company after it's not a startup anymore? Or I put the question in a different way. Every idea, every company, every product once is a startup till it isn't anymore. Like, for example, Uber. Is Uber still a startup? I would probably say no. It's quite old as a company, like not old as many banks or huge businesses, but it's not like 1 or 2 years. It's already on IPO. It has thousands of employees worldwide, so it's probably not a startup. Or maybe Lyft as its bigger competitor on the market. Would that be a startup? Probably not. So again, why and when the startup stops to be a startup? Usually this happens when the decision making is becoming slow. You have a lot to consider. You have a different approach to people, different approach to finance, different approach to budgeting, different approach to planning and to releasing. In your startup, you probably can release anything you want in a couple of days, weeks, maybe hours, or maybe months. There are like very slow startups. But what's happened after the startup is not a startup anymore? There is a word for it now. It's quite new on the market and it's called scale up. Scale up is when your startup is already understanding what you're doing and it's becoming bigger and it's starting to earn more money or starting to get more people on board. So this is gonna be a scale up. But what's gonna happen next? Let's say if there is a bank, a big national bank that started its operation 100 years ago. Is it still a scale up or not? What kind of business is this? So you see, we lack the understanding and we lack the words to describe this certain stage of the business model. And here is what Jürgen tried to solve, comparing the life of the business model or the company to the stage of human life cycle. Like we always have like an infant, a newborn, which only needs to, eat, sleep, and try to move and try to learn to touch objects and so on. It's not a person who would plan a family vacation yet. Or a toddler who wants a lot of attention, who wants to play, who wants to learn the world. But this person does need a lot of attention, right? It requires attention from parents, grandparents, and everyone. And then early child, we expect that the early child would understand what's good or bad, that the fire isn't to be touched, and other things. So this is a time of life when the person already has an understanding of what kind of characters it can be. We see if the person is behaving or not, how active or calm or silent the person is, but it's becoming very slow and we just start to see the first signs of it. Well, the child is something that starts early, goes to school. Late child is someone who would act on himself, going by buses to let's say the sports section he would attend. So it changed slowly. It changed from the responsibility, from the demanding, and from what we expect from the person. The teenager is someone who is forming the plans for life, who wants the private space, while the young adult is forming the career, the education, and pretty much forming the character the person would be for the rest of the year. And the goal of adults in the family is basically to earn money. To earn money for the whole family, to make sure that children has all the possibilities to grow, and that the older people in the family have the possibilities to remain happy in their later time of the life. And then mature adult, you can probably understand that the mature adult would have different things that the person would like to do. Like, put in the chat, what do you think mature adults in their life like to do? What do they want to do? What are they looking for in this area of life? Well, it's something between 50s and 70 years. Anyone? While you're thinking, I would suggest some of my ideas. Like, people don't tend not to work anymore, but they tend to like to travel. They tend to do something exactly enjoying their life, as Eka just wrote. Maybe some gardening, maybe some winemaking, things that they would want to do. Well, the late adult would basically just want to be real calm in a very predictable situation. So we really expect different things from people in the family of different age. And that's exactly what we can apply to the business life cycle. So have a look, and I'm gonna go through each of those stages. From initiation, which is basically the idea. Is this a business model you have in mind, but it requires certain actions like proving of the model and so on before you even start to build a company. Expedition is exactly those first problem solution fits, some researches, some experiments, the MVPs that you can work with. So basically something accessible and something you thought of the details. Well, the formation is the stage when you need to jump in to start building the company for real. Like if you used to be working full-time in a different company, or you have other projects, you need to pause this or quit this or do this to enter your new business full-time. If you cannot pursue yourself to go full-time, how do you expect to pursue other people to join your company? Validation is when there's certain of experimentations and you already are looking for the market fit. You already have a solution, you already have your product. You need to understand how that would fit what's solving the problem of your potential customers. Who are your customers? How quickly do you gain them? This is where we get the first good real investments. If we go to investment area, this is where we start to earn money by paid solutions and so forth. Stabilization is a very important area, is when we prepare to scale up, meaning that before we could do something really quickly. We could have like a smaller, easier approach to architecture. We could have the team without proper processes. We could have small team, and we could have a lot of quick experiments that we need to reassure before we scale. This is the area when we do a certain structure, when we do certain processes, when we focus on sustainability, on quality, when we basically restruct everything we build, understanding that it's needed before we go to scale. While the 6 areas of acceleration is when we need to grow on a larger market, because we already know that the customers exist, they're ready to pay, they're ready to join. Maybe it's a different geographical area, maybe it's just a bigger market cut. We usually have a lot of marketing, it's probably the B round of investment, we get a lot of money, we get a bigger team in place. And then we just grow, right? The crystallization is establishing in a market. We start to optimize. We start to do more on the same budget. And we just grow, right? While 8, our expansion is basically when we earn the money. We want to earn all the monies in the world before our business model is not relevant anymore. While 9, something like in conservation, is consider something like a bigger, older company that still retains some of their bigger clients, but many clients are joining some new, different companies and choose other solution over yours. And 10 is just a finish. It's a closure of the business. You need to move on. You need to be able to move on to something else. And in all these areas, what's important is to consider what do you focus in. On initiation, do we focus on the processes and budgeting? No, we don't really. While in expedition, again, we need to focus on a lot of experiments, something real fast, can be completely unexpected working hours, the team of best top talents who are able to do a lot of things. This is basically where we cannot expect from a business to have a serious annual budget and so on, because we just don't know what to expect. While, let's say, moving forward, we start to crystallize. Like the formation is the area when we hire more people. So not only the top talents, but also the people who are like doing the real job is what we need. And the validation is where we hire the people on a managerial level. And here when we start to implement safe, or we want to put like a different scaled framework, but we need to prepare everything for scale. While in a stabilization or acceleration is exactly when we do a lot of planning, a lot of budgeting, and following the goals. It's not an area when we do a lot of experiments, and it's definitely not the right time to hire the top talents. It's definitely not the place when we can afford working without stable processes. So we are moving to the optimization in this area. So let me place an example, and I would like you guys to access your chat just to be able to understand which one of those business modalities. One of the companies is called Cyclum. This is a company that offers the near-shore solutions and basically outstaffing services. So any client in the world can hire a development team within the company. The company exists for about 20 years. The business model is quite clear. This is an outstaffing. 5 years ago, the company did restructure and started to list clients on different kind of sizes, started to focus on B+ clients, which is 50+ people to hire, changed the top management, did cut some of additional small businesses on the side, and focused on gaining more and more clients, not only in Europe, but also worldwide. Please guess on your, how do you feel from 1 to 10, in which stage of business model is this? So to understand better, exploration, so our first 5 areas is a lot of chaos, freedom, network, total decentralization, total revolution, and the speed is what's important, the experiments and the speed. Well, execution requires certain order, control, an hierarchy, of course, optimization, and so on and so forth. So understanding how it moves from one to another is again slowly. So in a smaller startup, we do not implement hard frameworks. We are able to build our own and change them all the time. While if you're going to stage 6 or 7 and well, focusing already on customer creation and company building, you cannot afford not having stable processes. What's important, again, for bigger companies, and this will be the last very big idea of my talk, is that company doesn't need to be one business model. That's exactly what's happening now with bigger banks or with huger companies who were able to earn money with 1 or 2 products. They started to launch new and new and new. You created that will grow stably and bring the income. This is a time when you need to focus on other new products that haven't been launched just yet. So by the time that your old products will be outdated, like an Apple iPod, which we don't use anymore, which helped a lot in growth to actually do the different products. For example, in here, in my talk, this is an iPod sales. The way its revenue towards the overall revenue of the company. So what I mean is, for example, one of the biggest Dutch banks, ABN. The bank, of course, is a very old business model. What they do is they do invest in launching the new products. For example, this one is a new startup that is doing the pre-vetting of you as a potential customer to get or not get a loan very quickly in just 10-5 minutes. While at the same time, overall, this would take 2 or 3 days. So this new product is a completely different startup. The team is started from scratch. Everything the way they're related to bank is their contracts and investments. So that's what many banks do now. They buy different startups, or they cultivate the startup culture. They create new startups within the company.